Welcome, SENS Talk.
Russell winds in, feeds it back across the track, and scores! Brady Tkachuk makes it 2-0. Paul Giroux, in alone, scores!
Tim Stutzel across, Tkachuk score! The captain, Brady Tkachuk, buries it with 1:18 to go.
See you later. Go, SENS, go. Welcome to SENS Talk. My name is Brandon Plant, and I am your host today. Ottawa took on the Chicago Blackhawks as they try to rebound after a devastating 5-1 loss to the Anaheim Ducks on Thursday night. The Anaheim Ducks, like the Chicago Blackhawks, are bottom 3 in the National Hockey League in terms of the overall standings. Chicago is even worse than Anaheim. They only have 15 wins this year in over 50 games. They are not a good hockey team. The Ottawa Senators have been playing far better as of late. In their last 12, they're 7-3-2. There's still some work to do. They're 14 points out of a wild card spot with 2 games in hand going into this one. So it's still a long shot, but if they want to get any chance at potentially clawing their way back and getting back in that conversation, the game on Thursday they had to win, but especially today against the Chicago Blackhawks, regardless if Connor Bedard returned or not, which he did. He returned on Thursday. He would play in this one. Let's just say he had an impact in this one, but we'll get to that. With Chicago, this is a team that Ottawa should beat. I'm sorry. Chicago is not a good hockey team. They have Connor Bedard, and that's basically it. All right? So there's no excuses for the Ottawa Senators. Once again, they've been playing far better as of late. If they want to get back into the race, these are the games they have to win. But you know what's really interesting? Ottawa has not beaten Chicago in 10 straight games going to this one. Their last victory over the Blackhawks was in 2016, December of 2016. That is unbelievable. That was during the system era with Guy Boucher. Long time ago. But Ottawa has a good chance to break that curse. Going to this one, Chicago is 0-7-1 in their last 8. 0-7-1 with a minus 17 goal differential. So, you know what? The conditions are there for the Ottawa Senators to get a massive 2 points, get right back on track. Let's just say things did not go to plan. Before we get into the game recap, however, I want to say thank you to all of you that nominated us for 5 different awards at the Ottawa 2024 Awards. It's an absolute honor to be nominated. Last year, we won the best YouTube channel in Ottawa in 2023. So you know what? It's already an honor to be nominated, but since you're nominated, you might as well win the thing. So if you wanted to vote for us to help us win and defend our title, you can do so by clicking the link in the comment section down below and the description below. You can vote once a day. We're up for 5 different awards under the media and digital and social categories. Your support is so appreciated. Thank you so much. Let's get back to the video. Let's get into it. So for the Ottawa Senators, Jacob Bernard-Docker would not play in today's game because Artem Zub and Jake Sanderson would return to the lineup. I was a little surprised that JBD was taken out of the lineup for Travis Hamonic, but at the same time, JBD, who's a friend of the show, I love the guy. He took time out of his day once to come on the show. I have a lot of respect for him. He did not play well in that game. 3 of those goals out of the 5 that Anaheim scored, he was on the ice for as well. So I do understand it at the same time. I did see some people saying Hamonic should have been scratched, but once again, Hamonic, he's not the greatest, but he certainly wasn't the worst on Thursday. Now, speaking of the worst on Thursday, Joonas Korpisalo would start again for the Ottawa Senators, and my patience with him is running thin, and we'll talk about that in the postgame notes, but Korpisalo had a really good stretch going into Thursday's game, 750 save percentage after that one. Let's just say things did not go any better for him in this one. Let's get into it. To the first period we go, and over 13 minutes in, not much going on. Ottawa, frankly, is getting outplayed by Chicago early on. Bedard's got a couple of nice chances on Joonas Korpisalo. And you know what? Guess what? Connor Bedard would make his first impact on the game. Nick Foligno would score a goal on an uncontested drive to the net. No one had him covered in the slot area as the Hawks would go up 1-0 13 minutes into the first period of play. Artem Zub was caught at the top of the hash mark. Shabbat had to cover his man there, so he took the guy with the puck. Of course, that would be Kurashev, which left Foligno alone driving to the net. Unfortunately there, Brady Tkachuk had Foligno and then kind of just let him walk right to the net there. So a very poor back check by the captain, Brady Tkachuk, on this goal, letting Foligno walk right in. It's a tough start for the Ottawa Senators as they now allow as well the opening goal for the 6th straight game. So all-around bad goal. So the Hawks would strike first to make it 1-0. But luckily, though, for the Sounders, just over 2 minutes later, my goodness, what an unbelievable play here from the Godfather, Claude Giroux, G-Money, on a 2-on-1. He feeds Tim Stützle with an unreal pass. We are tied 1-1. Timmy Stu with his first goal in 5 games. He snaps a 4-game pointless streak as well, as the Ottawa Sounders and Chicago Blackhawks will go to the second period tied at 1 apiece. Great, response there after, frankly, a brutal opening goal for Chicago that Ottawa allowed. A great response as usual. Claude Giroux is in the middle of it. I said this on Twitter. I'll say it here. Claude Giroux is like the engine in a car. You remove the engine, it won't drive. Without Claude Giroux, this team won't drive. Claude Giroux is that good and that important for this franchise at this very moment. He literally carries this team on his back on a nightly basis. I talk about this guy every video because he's that good. And he's doing this in the latter half of his career. In the final few years of his career, he's playing some of his best hockey. He is the heart and soul of this team. Gives Ottawa a tie going into the second period of play. It's just unbelievable how good this guy is. Claude Giroux, and we'll talk about it in the post-game notes, but my goodness. I mean, I always give a clap to players that deserve it, and Claude Giroux always deserves it, but especially for that play there. So we go to the second period of play, and things were looking on the up for the Ottawa Sounders. In the first 10 minutes of the second period of play, they get a couple opportunities. They're on the power play now. This power play, frankly, was not looking great for Ottawa for the first 70 or so seconds. Very sloppy. Chicago even got a couple of shorthanded opportunities. But luckily, though, the Ottawa Sounders have Tim Stützle. He goes end-to-end, drops it off to Vladdy T, who puts it on a T to Jacob Chychrun. Boom! The Sens lead 2-1. One-time goal from Jacob Chychrun, and the Ottawa Sounders on the power play take the lead. It's 2-1 Sounders. Just an unbelievable play here from Tim Stützle, who split the defense, going end-to-end, dropping it off to Tarasenko, who finds Chychrun alone for the one-time goal, his first goal in his last 6 games, by the way, as well. As Ottawa leads by 1, it's 2-1 Senators. Things are looking great. Oh, no. Oh, no, Connor Bedard. You can't get away from this kid. This guy is such a rock star. And, this guy had a lot of good opportunities on Korpisalo, and he made a lot of good stops on Bedard. But, of course, out of all these high-danger chances that Bedard has, because whenever he shoots the puck, it's a high-danger chance. That's how good his shot is. It has to be this one that goes in for Connor Bedard. Goal here for Connor Bedard. Beats Korpisalo 5-hole. Oh my God, man. Joonas Korpisalo, my friend. At this point in the game, we're talking about 2 goals on 12 shots. What are we doing, Korpisalo? I mean, come on, buddy. Out of the amount of opportunities that Connor Bedard had in this game going into this point, a couple of really good shots, a couple of big blocker saves for Korpisalo, no doubt. That stinker goes in. Are you kidding me? Like, how can the Ottawa Senators gain any momentum? They already fought, to come back and take the lead. How can the Ottawa Senators maintain and continue momentum in the game and throughout the rest of the season when their goaltending cannot play consistently? Forsberg last game, 37 out of 40 shots he stopped. A couple of those goals were stinkers. The difference, though, is Forsberg can make the big stop. For Korpisalo, he makes the big stop, but he allows the stinker, and the stinker just ruins his game. And he cannot really find form after that. As the Ottawa Sounders will go into the second intermission, tied at 2 Chicago, which doesn't seem like the end of the world. But look, at this point, the Ottawa Sounders are outshooting Chicago by double. The Ottawa Sounders have not even allowed 20 shots on net. There's no reason a team like Chicago, once again, Connor Bedard, superstar, okay? That's not a great goal, though, for Bedard. That one should have been stopped. So I'm not taking anything away from Bedard, but let's just be real about this. That guy could have scored many other opportunities. That one probably not, right? So Ottawa is completely outplaying Chicago. Chicago is one of the worst teams in the National Hockey League offensively, regardless of Bedard or not. And they're tied, so it's not great. It's not great. These are the games at the Sens. We still have about half the season or a little less now remaining. If the Sens, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, want to get back in that playoff race. And look, I know it sounds crazy, but if they would have won this game and they would have won the 2 games in hand, we're talking single digits out of a playoff spot. It's possible, right? So call me crazy, but I like to believe. So that's what makes these type of games so disappointing. So we go to the third period of play. Ottawa just kind of gets screwed in the third period on multiple aspects. So they obviously play sloppy, which results in 2 goals being scored, one of them actually counting for Chicago, which I'll break down in a minute. But also, they took a couple of penalties that frankly shouldn't have been called a penalty. One on Brandstrom, for example. Chicago also had a too many men call that should have been made. A guy literally played the puck with like 6 or 7 guys on the ice for Chicago. That should have been called. So the refs missed a couple that went in the favor of Chicago. Not blaming the refs for the loss, though, because at the end of the day, you got to win the games. That's just how it goes, right? One team in every game is going to get some of the calls, and the other team's not going to get as many calls. That's how it's always going to go. So I never like to blame the refs, but it certainly does have a factor on the game, and it did. So, Ottawa goes into the third period. The momentum starts to shift towards the Chicago Blackhawks. After a strong opening 5 or so minutes for Ottawa in the third period, they really played strong. Chicago started getting these power plays, and they really started to put it on. And then Connor Bedard, thank goodness this one was offside. He absolutely dangled past Korpisalo. Can't blame him on that one if it would have counted. Just an absolute rock star goal for Connor Bedard. Thank goodness it got called back for offside. Good challenge by the SENS because, my goodness, that one would have been on the highlight reels for years and years and years and years to come. And we already have Crosby and Ovechkin and all these guys with highlight reel goals against the Ottawa Senators, and we always see them in the highlight packages. We don't need that with Connor Bedard. I don't think that one on Korpisalo in the second period will be on highlight reels for more than a day, right? So thank goodness that one got called back. Thank the hockey gods for that. But with a couple minutes left, heartbreaking. Dickinson would score to make it 3-2 Chicago. Chabot couldn't pick up the loose puck in between his skates, and Dickinson put home the rebound past Korpisalo there. And you know how that goes. 3-2 with a couple minutes left. The Sens were not going to make a comeback, as Ottawa will fall to Chicago for the 11th straight time, as they now have lost back-to-back games to 2 out of the 3 worst teams of the National Hockey League. What a disgrace, as Ottawa falls to 22, 27-2 on the year. And Chicago, good for them, gets the 15 wins. So, firstly, before I break down the game and talk about Ottawa, just want to give a shout out to Peter Mrazek, former Ottawa 67. I always have a soft spot for this guy. He was a legend with the 67s, and he played a fantastic game. 42 shots against, 40 saves, 952 save percentage. He played fantastic. Connor Bedard, 2 points tonight. That guy is going to be a nightmare for Ottawa and the rest of the league for years and years and years to come. That kid is so nasty. My goodness, he's so good. Just talking about the shots again, as I just mentioned, Ottawa 42 shots, Chicago only 22. So Ottawa had 3 goals go in on only allowing 22 shots. That's back-to-back games. Ottawa's allowed less than 25 shots, and they allowed 3+ goals. I cannot believe it. With just league average goaltending, this team is sniffing a playoff spot. I'm firmly in my belief on that. Another thing is, look, Ottawa in the faceoff circle got beat 53% to 46. Chicago won 4 more faceoffs than Ottawa, which doesn't sound like a big difference, but have you looked at Chicago's center depth and have you looked at ours? That shouldn't be happening either, which of course persuades the outcome of the game, because whoever wins the faceoff can control possession, right? So that's certainly another factor. And then if you just look at the special teams, luckily the penalty kill killed the one opportunity for Chicago tonight, and our power play did score a goal. So if you look at everything, Ottawa put the shots on net, okay? Yeah, they lost the faceoffs, but they put the shots on net. They didn't allow a lot of shots on net, and the goaltender still allowed 2 out of 3, frankly, that he should have stopped. So disappointing is being very polite about it. And we might as well now get into Korpisalo's stats. They're not going to look great. Just like last game, below 900 save percentage. I guess is a bit of an improvement. Instead of 750, it's an 864 save percentage, like I already mentioned. 22 shots against, 19 saves, 3 goals allowed. Just a terrible game for Joonas Korpisalo. Once again, 2 out of those 3 goals he needs to stop, particularly that Bedard one, the second one in that second period of play. That just cannot go in. I'm looking at the stats here, and a couple of things stick out to me. Firstly, Jacob Chychrun played the most minutes out of anybody on the Ottawa Senators with just over 25 minutes of ice time. Obviously had that goal, that power play goal early on there. He had 4 shots on goal as well, a hit and a block as well. Speaking of blocks, Erik Brandstrom, just under 15 minutes of ice time today. You know what? He had 2 blocks again. That's 7 blocks in his last 2 games. I'm liking that physical play there for Erik Brandstrom. And then you look at a guy like Tim Stützle, who really, really played well today. Goal and an assist. 3 hits. That is key. When you get guys like Tim Stützle throwing the body around and getting points and stuff, that's how you know he's feeling it. He definitely had a good game tonight. Also had 2 shots on goal. And Tkachuk, as usual, was all over the place with everything. He had 5 shots on goal. He had 7 hits as well. in just under 22 minutes of ice time. So Tkachuk was a human wrecking ball out there, but he was also a -2. And I know plus minus doesn't tell the whole story, but particularly on that opening goal, just a poor effort from your captain. You have to have a better effort there. For Jake Sanderson, clean game, 1 shot on goal, 2 blocks as well in just under 22 minutes of ice time in his return. And with Artem Zub, that turnover on that Connor Bedard goal that would be called back saved him, because otherwise he was fine. Just over 20 minutes of ice time with a shot on goal. Almost scored a goal, a highlight reel goal on Mrazek, but he made a spectacular stop. So, just a disappointing loss for the Ottawa Senators. Back-to-back games against teams the Ottawa Senators should beat that they've lost to. And like I already mentioned, 11 straight losses to Chicago. They haven't beat them since 2016. That's also insane. Every team in the National Hockey League has weird stats like that. And for some reason, the Ottawa Senators just cannot beat Chicago. So another tough loss. Their next game is on Monday against Tampa Bay, a team that's in a playoff spot right now. So things are not going to get any easier for the Ottawa Senators. So we'll see what happens with that. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below. As always, after another brutal loss, are we blaming this on Korpisalo? Is it the team? Let me know what you guys think down below. And besides that, I will see you on Monday night when Ottawa takes on Tampa Bay. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all soon. Go Sens, go.